Um, the company that I've been chosen for is Maersk. Now, it's a 106 years old company, a shipping giant, works with freight forwarding and logistics, supplies, chain management, and transportation, oceanic as well as inland. So, it's a pretty dynamic company to be, and the IT part of the company is purely product based. I've been selected as a data engineer in this company, and my package is around 10.5 lakhs. The questions they have asked me covers array of things like in the technical interview, it was totally based on my resume, the things that I have learned, and also core CSE subjects. So before starting off, I should let you guys know that I hail from ETC background, so everything that I've learned in from CSE, all the core CSE subjects, I had to do it additionally with my regular studies. Also, computer programming and dynamic programming and computational programming is something that I was really interested in since the second, third year. So, like at the end of third year, I knew that I want to work in the software industry. So with everything else, I started working on my core CSE subjects as well. So yeah, coming back to questions, they were mostly based on my resume, the projects that I've built, OS, computer networking, RDBMS, all the core CSE subjects that we are aware of and are told to study day in and day out, right? DSA is also a very important part. They asked me a few algorithms, very basic one, but yeah, the good knowledge and the good understanding of OOPS concept is something they also expect. Other than that, they gave me one coding question, which was based on Python, and yeah, I was able to come up with a brute force solution and then optimize solution for the same. So my technical interview went around for 40 to 45 minutes, and at the end, I was pretty confident that I'll be able to clear it just because we had really easy-going, easy-flowing conversation as well as I was able to answer most of the things. So, yeah, that was it about my technical interviews. Then, after 2 days, they called me for a managerial round. Now, managerial round is definitely not a HR round. It's when the manager of the team that will be part of interviews you. So they are not very, what you say, um theoretical questions that they ask. Rather, they ask you questions from plethora of things. Um, in that 30-35 minutes with the manager, which is always really experienced person, they judge how you work as a team as well as the whether you have a good understanding of the domain that you'll be working on and if you have problem solving skills as well. So in my managerial round, they asked me few questions. They gave me few scenarios, and I had to come up with the solution which was data centric. So I was told many questions. One that I could remember was if you have many customers, suppose you are an online shopping business and you have to segregate customers based on their previous buys, how will you segregate or how will you bucketize this customers, like what kind of customers they are, whether they are electronic based customer, whether they are more makeup centric customers, or whether they are more into garments, etc. So I had this one scenario, and another one was based on how will you find out that person is actively looking in for the job in LinkedIn, right? And the person will not be publicizing it in his feeds. So how will he deduce that yes, this person is looking for a job? So yes, that was another question. Then there were questions on my strengths and how what is my strategy to learn anything, which is something that sets you apart in any round. If you are able to come up with the most creative solution or most creative answer, you will be selected. It's like that. So my managerial round was also very easy flowing, but yeah, after the whole interview, it went on for 30-35 minutes. After the whole interview, I was not sure whether they'll select me, but I had this gut feeling that I did my best, and then I moved on. Next day, I got a call from HR, and we had a talk like where I'll be relocated as such. So this was my whole process. Of course, the pen and paper round was there, and I think it was the most taxing one, and also the major knockout round that we had in our whole process, because that online test round consisted of 8 sections, and it was UI UX based and NoSQL based. There were questions from SQL, there were questions from Python, there were questions from machine learning. I mean, there were 8 sections. There were questions from Java, there were programming questions as well, there were questions from DBMS. So, yeah, clearing that round was the toughest. After that, the interview round is something that you have to tackle by yourself, and mostly the questions are taken from the resume that you'll be submitting. So resume is also a very strong point that you have to prepare a good resume, sets you apart in the first go. Other than that, the lesson that I learned during the process was how to actually face interviews, because this was my first interview ever. From like after that, I have not given any interview as of now. But yeah, that was my first interview. That was first company that I was shortlisted for. That was the first company I cleared my first round. That was the first company I gave interviews for. So I learned how interviews work. So I think that was the greatest learning. And another was being confident in your own skin and skills. You have to be really confident with what you have learned and what you have achieved, and you should be able to present it to the interview. Like you're selling yourself somehow in front of the interviews, and they are looking for the candidate that will fit in their company. So of course, if I would have said some undiplomatic answers, or would have said something offensive as such, they would not have selected me. So, yeah, that's the one thing, to be really confident, own yourself, believe in yourself, and try to be as formal as you can, and be creative with your answer is another thing. Everyone chimes in for creativity. If they listen something and they see something which is really different and unique, I think it attracts them very much. So being creative is another thing that I learned during the whole process. And what pleased me throughout the interview was I really liked how they handled the new internee. I really liked how they handled the interview itself. They were not expecting us to be some superhero or rancher or some super intelligent person that knows everything, right? So they consider, they acknowledge the fact that we are freshers as of now, and we may or may not have a previous experience. So they ask questions according to that, and they ask most relevant questions as well. Like nobody asked me. I'm not saying that the questions like where do you see yourself in 5 years is less of a question, but when it comes to technical field, since I'll be working as a data engineer, right? I'm working as a data ops engineer basically. So questions like where do you see yourself in 5 years, or questions like tell me about your weaknesses or strength, really doesn't play an important role in the technical interview. So you have to be you should take all the answer, you should answer all the answer in such a way that tells that you are a technical person, that you are a logical person, that you can deduce things, that you can analyze things. So they are looking for the um, analytical and problem solvers, right? So that is the one thing that really pleased me, that there was no BS or n- no BS questions, right? They asked me the relevant topics, they asked me what they'll be requiring, and everything went very smoothly. So yeah, And of course, I was pleased that I got selected. That's the another point. So yeah, that was my whole interview experience. My internship experience has been really dynamic as well. We are not restricted to one thing. We can do array of things, and yeah, it has been really good. And Maersk have so many benefits. They do not consider you as a intern. They consider you as a full-time employment employee, and they give you responsibility in such way as well. Like in my whole product, I'm only intern that is working. So you get to learn many things. So if you are hearing this, and if you are someone who will be appearing for the Maersk examination, learn about the company as well, and learn about the different areas that Maersk works with. And yeah, that's it from my experience. Thank you for listening.